Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. It is exactly 8:36 a.m. This is News and Views right here on Salam Media with me, Julie Ali. And next we are going to be talking with Shannon Ebrahim. She is the wife of the late Ibrahim Ebie Ismail Ebrahim. We all know him as Ibrahim Ebrahim. And she's here to talk to us about the late ANC struggle icon Ibrahim Ebrahim to be honored with the National Order of Luthuli in gold. And of course, she joins us in honoring his legacy. Shannon, a very good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. Lovely to be talking with you this morning.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Gosh, this is a huge moment in your lives, but I'm sure there must be regrets as well. What does this mean for you, Shannon, your children, and the rest of the family regarding, this amazing, honor with the National Order of Luthuli in gold?
Well, as a family, we are very humbled for the recognition that is being given to Ibrahim, even if it is posthumously. I suppose it's just very, very sad that it wasn't done in his lifetime, because it would have been so wonderful for him to have had that recognition himself. But the thing about him was that he always shied away from recognition. He always said he never wanted to be, nominated for any award while he was still an active politician or involved in politics in any way, because he said on principle, he didn't believe that people should be getting national orders when they were still active, because if people became corrupt, then that would embarrass the state. And so he sort of thought, on a matter of principle, one should really be out of the picture. And so sadly, he's completely out of the picture, and we'll have to accept this on his behalf. But I'm so happy for him that he is getting that recognition after a life of real hardship and struggle, really being prepared to put his life on the line throughout his life for the cause of freedom and liberation in South Africa. And obviously, we all think he really does deserve this. And I think another thing is, for those who have read his memoir, Beyond Fear, which came out last year, it says in there how he was knighted by the King of Spain with a knighthood, and he was also given the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award by the President of India. So it was sort of missing that he had been recognized in his own country. So we feel that this is a lovely honor to be receiving tomorrow on his behalf.
Shannon, he was quite a struggle icon, wasn't he? And unlike other people that were out in, the forefront and got all the accolades and all of the, their lives being put out there all of the time and all of the praise, Ibrahim Ebrahim was very much a hard worker, a struggle icon that worked tirelessly in the background. He also served time on Robben Island. Tell us about his early years of being in the struggle, and then how you guys met, because that was truly a love story of note, was it not?
Yes. Well, to comment on the first part of your question, I think what really made him stand out from his other contemporaries was his humility. And I remember someone having told me when he got out of prison in 1991 from his second sentence on Robben Island. He was very, very high up within the top 10 on the NEC list for that year. And I don't think many people realize that. But I think because he didn't market himself and push himself forward and expect, recognition and the cabinet position, he became really someone that worked in the background, because that was very much his personality. Is he was very happy to do all the hard work and to not receive that recognition. And I think that is also why, just as Rolf Meyer had gone around the world with Cyril to Ireland and places like that, forging peace and doing conflict resolution, when Cyril became too busy and Ibrahim took over that role as part of the ANC effort with Rolf Meyer, nobody really knew about it because he did it so quietly. but also effectively. So I think there's something to be said for someone who is a gentle soul, and I think our rewards come later when we get to heaven. We don't have to receive that all in our lifetime. And yes, it was quite a great love story. He was 35 years older than me. We met when he was the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament before he became a minister. And I was in a conference with him, and we were doing presentations on the reform of the UN. And he was the discussant of my paper, and it was in preparation for the Non-Aligned Movement Summit in Durban. And after that, we met in the break afterwards, and I was asking him which university he went to, and he said the University of Robben Island, which I thought was a joke, but it was actually true. And then
Yes, absolutely.
he was inviting me to come and see the cell that he lived in for 15 years, from 1964 to 1979. And we should go in the winter, which it was winter then, because I would see how cold it was, and he could explain to me what they went through. And unfortunately, I was working in Canada, and I had to go back to Canada, so I wasn't able to do that. But we kept in touch through letters and phone calls for many, many years until we met up again. And sort of fell in love, and I decided to come and live in South Africa again. I had grown up in Durban, but my family having relocated to Canada, I was the only one in my family who now has come back for the last 23 years. And even though he was much older than me, I think my dad was a bit shocked that, I was married to someone that much older.
Right, right.
Yes, but I think when they got to know him, they were all flabbergasted by the principles and values, and just the really gentle giant that he was. And I think that they could see how anyone could so easily fall in love with someone who was just that good. And I spent those 2 decades, or over 2 decades, just trying to emulate the type of person that he was. And I think my kids and I will do that for the rest of our lives. He set an example for all of us and for those in the country. And I feel a bit sad because his memoir hasn't done as well as we thought. I guess it's eclipsed by some of the other books out there. But I think for those of us who don't know what comrades really went through, and who had senior positions in the movement from the 50s through to 1994, it's a really good and easy read. And I really encourage people to get the book, because I think that's what he would have liked to promote if he was here, that his story would live on as his legacy. So I'm very pleased that he's getting this tomorrow. And I know what he would have said if he was here, that he would have liked to dedicate this National Order in Gold to all of his comrades who didn't get recognition, who also sat with him in those political discussions on Robben Island and suffered as much as he did. And for those who paid the ultimate price and were hung at the gallows, he also faced a death sentence in 1987 in his second treason trial. And luckily, he wasn't sentenced to death. But so many were, and so many of his friends and comrades in Swaziland were assassinated by the apartheid hit squad. And so I think we can all take a moment to remember their sacrifice as well, many of them never having been put into the limelight in South Africa.
Okay, and the book you're referring to, the memoir that you're referring to, is entitled Beyond Fear, Reflections of a Freedom Fighter. Maybe we'll get together sometime soon to talk about the book and create more awareness that the book is out there, and let's get people to go out and buy it and read this amazing story. My final question to you is regarding his fellow struggle activist, Sunny Singh. He served time with Ebrahim on Robben Island and was recruited by Ebrahim into Umkhonto weSizwe, the armed wing of the ANC. He goes on to say that the Sharpeville massacre on March the 21st in 1960 was a turning point in the history of the country. Why was that significant for Ebrahim?
Well, I think many, especially of the comrades, the South Africans of Indian origin, like Sunny Singh and Ebrahim, who were very close, they were very much involved in satyagraha and the passive resistance in the Gandhian tradition. And they grew up with pictures of Gandhi in their homes, and they were very aware of Gandhi's message of trying to change a system through peaceful means. And that's why when they saw people peacefully trying to protest against the passbooks and marching to police stations peacefully, and really the result being an absolutely brutal massacre of children as well, I think it was really shell-shocked, the movement and Mandela, and they really realized that they didn't have a choice, that they were going to have to take up arms because the system was just so evil and brutal that they were going to fight to the death. And so I think they decided to take that principled approach, that they take up arms, but they would never target civilians. So you read in the book that Sunny and him were in the same armed struggle unit of MK on Kontuasizwe, and they would blow up electricity pylons, or they'd blow up a railway station in the middle of the night when there were no trains there. They would choose targets that were very symbolic to the state and represented the apartheid government or government offices in the middle of the night, but they would never target civilians. But he says in the book it was a very difficult decision to make because he was a pacifist at heart. And if you knew his personality, the very idea of violence is difficult for him. And I think what really shows that is when he was in charge of the ANC's underground in Swaziland from 83 until his kidnapping in 86 by apartheid intelligence agents, he was in a hunting ground of Eugene de Kock's hit squads. And everyone seemed to be getting assassinated or, abducted and tortured, killed, and taken. And they warned, the ANC in Lusaka warned them, this is the most dangerous place that you could position yourself. But he said, I wanted to be closer to my people, closer to Natal and the front line of the struggle. And what shocked me is that he refused to carry a gun. I think there was a gun in his house, but he never carried it. He was, he just didn't want to be involved in the symbols of that type of violent struggle, maybe to his detriment. At the end, he was kidnapped. But I just think it goes to show that legacy of Sharpeville of not wanting to have to turn to violence was always there. It was a difficult choice to have to make.
My memories, I was at one or two functions where I met up with both of you. And what struck me at both the functions, I'm talking about way back many years ago, is just what a gentleman, what a gentle soul he was. Very, very soft spoken and very attentive to everyone that he met up with. He'd give you his full and total attention. And that truly struck me, in a very, very big way. So I have, I never knew him personally, but on those two occasions that I met him, I was quite struck by his humbleness and by this very soft-spoken, amazing man that would interact with everyone and give them his total and absolute attention. So undoubtedly, you two have amazing memories of Ismail Ebrahim. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to share with me?
Well, just that I think we really need to focus on the next generation. I look at my children. I encourage them to finish the book that their dad wrote because that's what they need to understand. And they need to understand that the truth of our country right now is South Africa has been labeled the most unequal society in the world. Our Gini coefficient is the most wide between the rich and the poor. And I think that's what bothered him most at the end of his life, because he says in the book how when they were on Robben Island, yes, they were fighting for the vote and political freedom and the right to decide which party is going to govern them. But more than that, it was a more equal society where people had a decent standard of living and everybody had an equal chance in life. And we don't have that. I mean, we have that political liberation. But when we look at how poor people are in our society, and you have super rich people wanting to just pay someone $250 to do a hard day of work, I just think it's crazy when you think that in Canada, where my family lives, people are paid 30 Canadian dollars for 1 hour of work in cleaning a house. And it's just a simple message for all of us, like we have lost our moral compass in a way. And if we want to go back to the values of that generation, what are we all doing in our lives to make the society more equal and to give people a bit of a leg up and to try to transform things so that we're not considered the most unequal society in the world. I think maybe we all need to think about that and what we can do to change things.
Definitely giving us food for thought regarding being the most unequal society in the world. That, of course, was Shannon Ebrahim, the wife of the late Ismail Ebrahim, fondly known as Ebie Ebrahim, Ebie Ismail Ebrahim. He was a struggle icon, and we're talk with Shannon this morning about Ebrahim because inshallah he will be honored with the National Order of Luthuli in gold tomorrow. Shannon, you go well. Take care. Much love and hugs to the kids, and enjoy tomorrow receiving this amazing honor. Assalamu
Thank
alaikum
you
to
so
you.
much. Walaikum salam. Thank you. Bye.
It is exactly 8:52 a.m. We'll be taking a short break and then joined by Imtiaz Sayed. We're going to be talking about security issues, crime issues in eThekwini, and he, of course, is the chairperson of eThekwini Secure. Please stay with us.